Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby invite you to take a chance. Take just a moment, stop what you're doing, and bask in the glory, for you are getting an introduction to one of the greatest athletes this industry has ever seen. My name is Limitless Keith Lee.
This is Cowboy James Storm, representing the U.S. in the World Cup here in England. Everybody else, sorry about your damn luck.
Oh, we're talking an honor, to say the very least, man. When it comes to a representation of a country in itself, and you're wrestling in another country for one of the greatest independent wrestling events on the planet, you can only be happy and appreciate the opportunities put forth in front of you. So my job here is to show up, make an impact, and represent to the fullest of my capabilities.
It's very cool, showing up. You see a lot of familiar faces, but then also you see a lot of guys that you don't know, but you know of. So I'm hoping to advance on in the tournament and face some of these up-and-coming guys they got going on here.
You know what? I never really am a strategy guy. I'm more of an adaptability guy. For those who don't know, this will be a first-time ever match between us two. So what's going to happen is we're going to get in the ring, probably going to smash each other in the face, and then somewhere during that time, I'm going to figure out exactly how to get around those, stop getting punched in the face, and then avoid that super kick of his, because I know it's one of his most devastating maneuvers.
Keith Lee, he's a big guy, but I'm used to dealing with big guys as, Bobby Lashley, Abyss, and guys like that, so Keith Lee, his size really doesn't intimidate me as it would some other people or whatever. So it's just one of those things, and he just does things that big men shouldn't be able to do anyway. So I just got to chop him down and just keep him on the ground. I bring experience. I think I have almost more experience than anybody in this tournament. I've been doing it over 20 years. So the further I get along in this tournament, I think you'll see experience start kicking in.
Looking at a man that's 6'3", 332 pounds, but he's no average 6'3", 332 pounds. You're talking about a super athlete, a hyper athlete, the very best that this industry has seen in terms of big man, and there's nobody that can touch what I do. So when I come in this tournament, while I am confident, I will not be overconfident, and I'm going to exert everything I have in that ring. I will leave it in that ring and proceed to make a great representation for the U.S.
Well, just when you thought you had a chance to get your breath back, how about this for the next first round match in these American qualifiers? Keith Lee and James Storm.
These first round matches coming thick and fast. Speaking of thick, speaking of muscle, Keith Lee, what a behemoth this man is. James Storm is going to have to go through hell, just like we've already seen tonight, that David Starr and Jay Lethal have went through to advance in the Pro Wrestling World Cup.
Of that man, 300 pounds of him, Keith Lee from Wichita Falls, Texas, an 11-year veteran. What do you do if you're James Storm looking at that across the ring from you?
Run very, very fast. But James Storm ain't going to do that. Cowboys don't run.
James Storm's music starts with the word "sorry about your damn luck." That could be a sentence you said to Storm here in Manchester this evening. James Storm, a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion and King of the Mountain, a record 7-time TNA World Tag Team Champion, 5 of those with Bobby Roode as part of Beer Money, and he's brought a beer with him here.
You better slow down on those brewskis. Telling you, going up against someone like Keith Lee.
Again, very similar dynamic here to the previous match. Storm, the clearly more experienced of the two men, just as Jay Lethal was a minute ago. But Keith Lee, no slack. But Lee has been wrestling. I say he's more experienced. Lee has been wrestling since 2006. It's only in these past few years that Lee has found a way to up his game, and now he's being talked about as one of the absolute best big men in the world of wrestling.
It's only in the past 2-3 years that James R. Kennedy has been exposed to this man. But let me tell you something, I have friends in high places, and those friends in high places sent me down some footage of Keith Lee, and I was blown away by how quickly this big man can move. You talk about Moose being an incredible athlete. Keith Lee, well, he's unbelievable. James Storm, he put that beer right in front of us, that Budweiser. He may need to reach for that bottle to cut down this big man, Keith Lee.
James Storm from Tennessee, he's a 20-year veteran, just celebrated his 40th birthday in June.
I'm going to move this Budweiser away from me. Common mock. I don't drink stuff like that.
Well, you're unconscious after your first beer, is what I heard.
I'm more worried about James Storm coming to fetch it later on in this match.
Collar and elbow tie-up to start things out, and it's not, although obviously Lee is the bigger of the two guys here, let's not underestimate the strength of the Cowboy here. James Storm is not going to be pushed around by Lee.
Absolutely not, but traditionally he is a tag team specialist. He has to do this all by himself in the Pro Wrestling World Cup. Could that be the difference maker? Keith Lee, he stands alone. He wants everyone to bask in his glory. They certainly will if he advances by an athlete like James Storm.
While these two feel each other out in the early going here, Keith Lee going to shoulder block and send Storm down to one knee. I have some breaking news for you. WCPW is proud to announce that Loaded is returning. Loaded is back on the 5th of August on YouTube, or 2 days earlier. You did a leap. Look at that from Lee. Oh my. Get back to Loaded in a second. Hang on a second here, because Storm,
We're fully loaded right here tonight.
sends Lee. Great speed here.
Look at the speed.
Both of those two guys. Wow. The ring just moved a foot from that.
Oh, great. That means they're closer to us. Fantastic.
Well, as I was saying before that incredible exchange there, Loaded going to be on YouTube on the 5th of August. You can catch it 2 days earlier if you're a subscriber to What Culture Extra on whatculture.com/extra. And on our return episode, how about this? The Swords of Essex going to defend the WCPW Tag Team titles against War Machine.
Yikes. I hope they're preparing for that as we speak.
That's from also Marty Scurll and Kyle O'Reilly going to go one-on-one. Great international showdown that's going to be as Loaded returns. So much more as well. But right now, it is about James Storm and Keith Lee as Lee charges, and Storm has to use a lot of his strength there to send him to the apron.
Uh-oh.
Oh! Storm caught him! Storm caught him!
I think that shocked Keith Lee.
It may have done. He hooks that huge leg, gets a 2 count.
Lee wasn't expecting that. I don't think anyone in this building was expecting that from James Storm.
And you know, Lee is holding his face. I wonder if he may have broken his nose there.
He could have. Either that or a tooth came flying out.
If that could be one thing that could turn this to the advantage of James Storm. If there has been some damage done, if Lee cannot get that oxygen into that huge frame of his, then he is going to run out of gas here very, very quickly. And Storm can take advantage of that.
He's been moving fast since the first bell.
Oh, there's a clothesline.
And he's going down hard.
Goodness me, from Storm.
Now the crowd love the outlaw, renegade, cowboy antics of James Storm. They identify with it. He loves a drink just as much as everyone else in here. But can he put away Keith Lee? Will we be seeing James Storm later on tonight for a second time, or will it be the man with Limitless on the back of his trunks, Big Keith Lee?
One of these two men going to advance to the second round to face either King Ricochet or Matt Sydal.
These matches, I don't know if my heart can take this. Incredible fast-paced action.
Some of the absolute best in the world have been part of this Pro Wrestling World Cup, and this American qualifier, no exception. Again, Storm will take a runner. Lee still reeling from that shot earlier where he may have done some damage to his nose. He seems to be moving well. The shoulder block from Lee.
Just how fast is this man?
Now look at it, he'll go for that power slam. We've seen Lee put away so many with a power slam. How agile is Lee? Just incredible. For a man that size. Lee, a Hurricane Rana from Keith Lee.
I think we need to set up here in WCPW one day, Moose against Keith Lee, just to see who has the not only the size advantage, but also the speed. And that's not something you would expect to say about men the size of Keith Lee or Moose, but they move like lightning.
Lee, double hand chop across the chest. And that will just knock all of the air out of the lungs. James Storm just crumpling into the corner.
Not only does Lee have that speed, but you just witnessed right there when he gets a man in the corner, the sheer power. All he has to do is slap with both hands on your chest, and it may well cave in.
Lee has been requested by the audience here for one more time.
Antissa. Patient. Ouch.
You hear a pin drop, and then you heard two huge hands chop.
And I'm not sure they were hands. They sounded like frying pans.
Keith Lee, with increasing confidence, a sort of a smirk starting to appear. His lip kind of curls upwards. He is feeling that he has James Storm's number here.
The cowboy fighting back, as he so often does. We've seen that down throughout the years.
Lee,
never say die.
To the side of the head from Storm. Storm will go for the neck breaker and gets it. Storm, cover. Press hooks the leg and right shoulder goes up from Keith Lee.
Storm wanted 3 there from senior official Steve Linsky. Disappointed he didn't get it.
We always talk about with pinfalls how important it is to get body on body weight, but when you have such a weight disadvantage as anyone has against Keith Lee, it really doesn't matter because Keith Lee can just manhandle you.
Keith Lee decides to press out of that. He may push James Storm right through the ceiling of this building.
I mean, if Keith Lee decides he's kicking out, nobody on top of him is going to stop him. So the way you beat Keith Lee is to knock him silly so he can't kick out.
We agree on something.
Now what is this? Well, Storm is maybe going to try and do just that. What is Storm doing? A Hurricane Rana on Lee! Sends the big man halfway across the ring.
Make that another foot. The ring just moved.
Storm.
He's far away though, Dave Bradshaw.
And James Storm has like 2/3 of the ring to cover here. He didn't get it quite, but he got some of it. He got the big splash, and no, it's good for 2.
He almost got enough there.
Storm tripped slightly as he jumped up the turnbuckle. I wonder if he managed to get all of that, it might have been enough to put Keith Lee away.
I think it was the distance. I think you're right. He hesitated just at the last second. There's no shame in that when you've been taking some of the punishment that Keith Lee has to dish out.
Storm, though, still on top here. He's got to find a way to turn that advantage into a victory before Lee uses that superhuman power to get back into this. Maybe going for a powerbomb here.
You ain't going to get the big man up that way, surely.
Storm just pounding across the back of Lee. James Storm will go to the ropes, gets caught on the shoulders of Lee. Oh. Left hand may have knocked Storm out. Lee to go to the second round here and now. Oh. Close.
Sometimes it can be something that simple that wins the match. All these huge, big, impressive power moves, and that big left hook from Keith Lee nearly finished it all.
Yeah. Lee is looking to go to the top here. Lee with that, look at that evil grin on his face. Lee with bad intentions here.
He may give.
Maybe going for a moonsault. We've seen him do that before. Storm is clinging onto that leg with desperation.
He may give the people around the world something to tweet about, Dave Bradshaw.
Lee is getting frustrated at Storm's refusal to allow Lee to start climbing those turnbuckles. Storm is back on his feet.
Oh, they're right above us.
James Storm, hang on a second. No, he can't. He can't do that. Storm from the crucifix position. James Storm is going for the eye of the storm, and he got it. He nailed it. The cover. Oh, it wasn't enough. It was not enough. Goodness me. Well, if you're watching this at home and have as little idea as I have of who is going to win this, give us your opinions. Join us on social media. The hashtag again is Pro Wrestling World Cup. What do you think is going to be the outcome of this battle, this war between James Storm and Keith Lee? The hashtag again, Pro Wrestling World Cup.
I think it should be hashtag wow. Both these men going hell for leather.
Lee caught the leg. Lee with Storm on his shoulders. Wow, caught him there, the cover, and that is enough. Keith Lee with the ground zero.
Advancing to the second round.
Lee with the ground zero, and it nearly put Storm through the ring onto the ground because the power behind that move was absolutely scary. If I was King Ricochet or Matt Sydal looking at this, I would be thinking, I have no idea on earth how I start to form a battle plan to beat Keith Lee.
We talked about David Starr being worried about Jay Lethal and Moose having to sit and watch that match. Ricochet and Sydal haven't even fought yet, and already they have to be worried about Keith Lee.